Hello there everyone, welcome back to another card game video, Gundam card game video today. Once again Bandai have reeled me in with a very interesting resource system and some very pretty looking foils. I haven't spoken about this game yet. I think I may have done a small video on it, I can't remember, or mentioned it on Twitter certainly, when they announced the game, in the general state of confusion, just like why they were releasing another game. But this game has three really big selling points that are making me interested in it. The first, the biggest, global simultaneous release. This is the biggest deal for me. I think, playing One Piece has just made me really sad about how far behind we are in the meta and how, the innovations we tend to do in the English format, innovations are basically nonsensical because, yes, we will innovate, the deck list itself, but fundamentally, One Piece is a sort of meta dependent game where what's good is kind of dependent on what's being played because that's the way they've designed the game. This is not me knocking on top players or anything. This is just a fundamental facet of how the game works. Has meant that it's been a little bit boring to keep up with. On the other hand, well, at least on the English side, obviously on the Japanese side it's exciting. On the other hand, Star Wars Unlimited, which is not a global game, but obviously I play in the language where it's released in first, so good news, I actually get to be part of the excitement as these new cards get revealed. That's been really fun. And those of you who know what these cards are up here will know that there was a previous, back in the old days, 10 years ago now, there was a Bushiroad game that was simultaneously released worldwide, and that's my favourite game of all time. The real ones know, and therefore, having seen this information, seen this news, I'm interested. So that was the first reason. The second reason was I looked at some of the cards, and good lord, they are very pretty. The artwork is incredible, non-foil, and then the full arts are just insane. So okay, cool, I'm sold on that front. And then I read the rules, and oh wait, this isn't a standard Bandai game. It is actually not. There's something different here. And it's gone a little more Western in the card design, which I think is going to go quite some way to mitigating the RNG bullshit, which is of course still present in the game, but I think to a much lesser extent. We'll see. Let's talk about it. So those of you who don't really know how to play this game, this is going to be my sort of first review of the rules. I'm just going to sort of briefly explain how to play the game. There's a great tutorial video which you can watch that the official channel has put out. I'm going to talk about the beta set, which is what is going to be available. I'm seeing about hopefully getting one to unbox, or two ideally, and do some gameplay with on the channel. We'll see what happens with that. Obviously they are very in demand at the moment and there's not that many of them, so I'll try, but I'm mainly looking at this with an eye to the actual release of the game. And so in that way we can think of this as sort of a preview of some of the cards. But, I think we're probably looking at maybe a third to at most a half of the cards that are going to be in the game. So we're going to have this is a very warped view of what the game will be like. So let's start off here, firstly. So you play a 50 card deck, okay, has to be 50. Not a massive fan of that, but whatever. 10 card resource deck, okay, cool. Token cards and damage counters such as dice. Okay, we'll talk about all of these tokens and things in a little bit. The resources are sort of like the Dom system from One Piece, which is great. I think we have moved well past lands and sort of stuff needing to be in your main deck, so great. No fumble from Bandai here. There are 4 different card types, which we'll talk about shortly. A deck is exactly 50. Up to 2 colours may be used, and up to 4 cards of the same card number may be included. So your deck can be monocolor, but realistically we will be playing 2 color. We will be playing the best options from a suite of colors. I can tell you right now I will be playing green red. We'll talk about red in a little bit, but I can tell you right now I will be playing that. So let's have a look here. Okay, so unit cards, and there's a couple of interesting things here. So if we look at the card, it says what it is on the left. You can deploy up to 6 units at once. They go into the battle area. They cannot attack the turn they're deployed. And they can link up with pilots, so we'll talk about that in a moment. Pilots are kind of like upgrade cards, so if you follow me for Star Wars Unlimited, this is literally piloting. It's literally piloting, it's just a fundamental mechanic of the game. Now, one thing that's very interesting, so we have the traits and all that sort of stuff at the bottom, but on the bottom right we have the stats, 3, 4. The really interesting thing for me, in the top left, we see all the cards have a level and they have a cost. So the cost is the number of resources you exhaust. The level is the number of resources you need to have in play before you can play the card, because traditionally a 2 cost 3 4 would be really strong. So how have they balanced that? They've said it's a 2 cost 3 4, but you can't play it until you have at least 4 resources. I think this is a really, really intelligent way of allowing you to adjust the dial and print like maybe like these really powerful cards, but actually you have this restriction of like, oh, hold on, you can't play them without a certain number of resources. Now, I do think this means that if they ever print resource destruction, that's going to be really broken, but they haven't done that in One Piece yet. I don't even think they've done it in Dragon Ball yet, so they're probably going to stay away from resource destruction. Magic, I think, paved the way on why that's not a great idea. Okay, let's talk about pilot cards now. So a pilot is kind of like an upgrade. You pair it by putting it underneath it, so yeah, upgrade the card. Each unit can pair with up to 1 pilot. When a pilot is paired with a unit, it gains the AP and HP list on the pilot card, so you add the attack and you add the defense. Additionally, the paired unit gains the listed pilot ability, and a pilot can pair with any unit. Now, I believe there are special abilities where if it's a named pilot and a named Gundam, then they link and you get a bonus ability. But otherwise, you can just sort of pair them up as is. Command cards are just spells. So we know how those work. And now here, base cards is an interesting one. So bases are deployed to the shield area, and you can't have more than one at a time. They have HP. They can have attack, which I find very interesting. And we'll talk more about bases, I think, in a bit, because they are a very interesting part of the game mechanics. So let's talk about how the map looks. So, okay, you got your deck area, your trash area, resources, all that sort of stuff. So you have shields. So you start with 6 shields at the start of the game, and then you also start with an EX base. So an EX base is 0 attack, 3 HP. You can't have more than 1 base in play at a time, and your base needs to be dealt with. It needs to be destroyed, basically, before they can attack your shields. Then the other thing is the way you win is by removing all your opponent's shields and then attacking them one final time, and that attack being successful. Okay. So, other things is there's a thing here. Let's just quickly. Will it let me zoom in? Or let me zoom in? Yes. Okay, there we go. Game flow. So start phase, you untap everything. You draw 1 card. You draw a card going first and going second. You gain your resource. In the main phase, you can do any number of things, which is play a card, activate and activate main, or attack with the unit. And then there's the end phase, and it's your opponent's turn. So simple enough there. I've already explained how you pay the costs. Just had a look at the turn progression there. So that's the fundamentals of the game. Seems relatively straightforward. Now, they haven't explicitly explained a couple things, but basically, so when you attack units, damage stays over turns. You deal the attack damage, and you deal the attack damage, and then once the attack damage equals the HP value, then the unit dies. So shields have 1 HP, bases have EX bases have 3 HP. Other bases have more, and so this is a very interesting mechanic, because you can put bases in to sort of increase your HP by forcing your opponents to have to basically attack over these bases. What this also means is that when you're attacking a shield, any attack that is at least 1 is sufficient. So you're not going to destroy more shields by having more attack, but you need more attacks. So there's an interesting sort of interplay there between like, okay, well, you need some big attacks to deal with bases, but little attacks are going to be able to get through the shields. So I think it's a very, very interesting sort of system. Okay, with that in mind, let's quickly have a look at the beta set, because this is something that you might be able to go to. You might be able to go to these sort of beta taster events. From what I've seen, it's not really happening. Like there's not enough of these events around. But we can have a look at the beta set and see what you get if you do get into one of these. And as I say, I am going to hopefully try and do an event on this, but try and do a video on this. But just and we'll look through cards, and that's what we're going to do in a moment. But what you get in the beta set is you get 16 booster packs, you get a guaranteed legend rare, you get a block of basically just commons, so you can play the game, and you get 6 damage dice counters. So that's what you get. I believe the legend. So you're guaranteed a legend rare. We don't know the pull rates, but from what I've seen, people are getting at least 3 legend rares in the 16 packs. So it's probably about 1 in 5 packs. So you can assume that in a box you're probably getting about 6, probably 5 or 6 legend rares on average in a box. So this is pretty reasonable value when you're getting all these other bits, and the fact you're getting them early. And apparently there's exclusive alt arts in these. As I say again, I don't 100% know. The other thing I wanted to flag, sorry, this is the detailed rules which I was reading earlier, is they have announced that these are all the series that are going to be in set 1. They've kind of teased it, but all you need to know is that they have confirmed that red is going to be the 4th colour that is not present in the beta set. It's going to be in the main set, and it deals effect damage to units. So I'm on board. Give it to me immediately. Let's talk about some cards now. And I just want to sort of go through and flag, I think, just the cards that are particularly valuable. Like the ones that are like really, really good, and the ones that are making me like think, oh, I'd quite like to play that. So I'm not going to lie to you, these are generally speaking just the cards with alt arts. So we can start off with this guy here. So he is a level 4 3 cost, who has repair 2. That's okay. I think repair 2 is a really good keyword. If the way the game shakes out is it's a lot of just like trading damage, right? Now obviously it needs to sort of survive, but you can't attack active units. So you play it, it survives the turn, you get to smack it in, and you get to like trade up essentially, as long as it survives. It's a 3/4. Is it really going to survive? I don't know. And it does give that sort of passive buff when paired to give all your units +1. So I think this is pretty good. And blue just generally seems to be the sort of stat color, like the value color in this game. So that's not bad. But yeah, I think I'm not like super excited about blue, though. This pilot card is pretty good. So burst. So when you take a shield, here's the other interesting thing. Unlike the other Bandai games, when you take a life card, you reveal it, see if there's a trigger. Okay, that sucks, but fine. And then it goes to trash. It doesn't go to hand. There's no cantering out of hand. There's none of this bullshit where if your opponent just high rolls with a bunch of 2Ks in their hand, you lose the game. None of that. Yes, it does suck that there is still this burst mechanic, but these cards seem a lot less impactful as a burst than like a lot of the ones we've seen in One Piece. So as long as it stays that way, we're fine. It definitely won't, but it is what it is. This is a level 1 upgrade that gives +2/+1. And then when paired, you just rest an enemy unit with 5 or less HP, which is a lot of HP in these kind of games. So I suspect this is going to be a really powerful card. So when paired is just any, like you put this on any Gundam, right? And obviously +2/+1 for 1 is really, really strong. So you look at the pairing of these two units, and you make this thing a 5/5, except actually on your turn it's a 6/5 that's going to repair 2, and is going to allow you, when you pair it with this, to just basically delete whatever your opponent has played on the last turn. So I think this is a very, very strong combo. Yeah, I really like it. Okay, this is one of the best cards in the game, I think. Yeah, well, okay, I don't know if this one is, sorry, but I mean, it's still really strong, right? They have the same burst, add to your hand, and then act on once per turn when you attack, you untap a resource. When you're doing more things with the resources, this is the kind of thing, I think, in an aggro deck, I'm going to be looking at this going, okay, this is interesting. You're not losing cards from hand to resource, so, just getting the ability to just play more things, cheat more things out is potentially really, really good, especially if you can have multiple of these out on the board, but nah. I don't think this is anywhere near as good as the Armor Array. Other interesting cards. I guess let's quickly talk about the base. So here's an example, right? White base. This is a level 3 2 cost. So the burst deploys it. So obviously if you hit these off of burst, you are over the moon. To deploy bases, you need to take a damage. So, okay, fine. But what are we getting here? We get 5 HP body. And then this card has activate main once per turn. Pay 2. Play a 3/3 token if you have nothing. If you have or if you have a unit, you get a 2/2, or if you have 2 units, you get a 1/1, right? But either way, it's just making something. And obviously, like, the idea would be you play this on like your 3rd turn when you have nothing, and then you get to just maybe trade into the board, force your opponent trade into yours, then you make a 3/3. A 3/3 for 2 is really good, right? Like, that's really, really good. And if you can keep maintaining that, and you can keep getting value out of this, if you can keep trading in that way, I think this could be really strong. So just another one of those cards to sort of bear in mind. Now, I just want to talk about green, because I think green is broken. I think that this is the deck I'm building. Whatever color combo, I suspect it'll be red, but whatever color combo I'm running, it's going to involve green. For 2 reasons. The first of them is this. So Wing Gundam, this is a level 6 4 cost, so quite, we're getting into the mid game to late game for sure. Has Breach 5, When this unit's attack destroys an enemy unit, deal the specified amount of damage to a card in that opponent's shield area. So this just, at the moment, deletes any shield in the game, deletes any base in the game. So you go, I'm going to clear your thing, and then I'm going to delete your base, which is really, really strong. It also has this unit made to choose an active enemy unit that is level 4 or lower as its attack target. So you play it, obviously it doesn't have rush or anything, but then on your next turn, anything your opponent's got that's small that they may have played last turn, you go, yep, cool, I'm attacking that, I'm going to delete it, and then I'm going to delete one of your damage. Breach seems really strong to me. This is absolutely the deck I want to be playing. I think this card is cracked, and the artwork is outstanding. I really like it. So yeah, that's one of the reasons I want to play green. This is the pilot upgrade that has the same burst with so I think Hero Yui says this unit gains +1/+1/1 linked. So I believe this is, you need to specifically have Hero Yui on the right Gundam, which I'm not 100% sure which one that is. I suspect it's Wing Gundam. Yeah, it's Wing Gundam. It says it in the bottom left. So that would make Wing Gundam a 7/7, I think. Right? Yeah, like +2/+1. Yeah. So if you have that for 5 resources, you make a 7/7 in this game. That's really, really, really good. So yeah, that'll be fun. The second, okay, well, I mean, I guess we'll quickly talk about as another insane card. So we have Char as enabled. So attack during your turn. This unit gains +1 AP, and if it's linked, it can't be blocked. So you get +2/+1 for sure, right? Like on attack. And then you can also potentially just end games out, close games out. It's a level 3 +1 pilot. So I think this card is probably going to be quite good. You know, just being able to cheaply buff units like that is not going to be bad. But less exciting for me than the other stuff. And we'll quickly talk about the white big boss here. This is level 5 4 cost. It's a blocker. And then when paired with a level 4 or higher pilot, you get to bounce something, which is really strong, especially with 4 or less HP, right? Like, that's actually really relevant, right? Like, and this is perfectly costed because you play this on your 5 resource turn. You go, cool, 4, play this, 1, upgrade. This thing is probably a 5/5 or a 6/5. It's a blocker, and I get to bounce your thing. So I'm definitely going green something. It's either green white or green red. At the moment, it would be green white because like cards like this are really, really strong. Now, we'll come to the reason I really want to play green soon, I promise. The cards are just not there yet. But yeah, that's one of those things that's really, really cool. One of the cards I should flag is this gun cannon, which is a 2 cost 2/3 with repair 1 and when paired to rest an enemy with 2 or less HP. So like this is something that could be really, really nice as an early game control tool. Just want to flag it as I think, you know, I think doing this sort of manipulation with pairing is going to be very, very relevant. Now this card is insane. So this is a dual sort of like command pilot card. And the fact we're getting these in set 1 I think is nuts. And this one is really strong too. So it's a level 2 1 cost. Main or action, choose an enemy unit with 3 or less HP, bounce it. 1 cost to bounce something is nuts. Especially in a game like Gundam, which is probably going to be quite tempo based. And especially looking at the stat lines we're dealing with here, where that's probably going to be bouncing like level 3 and even level 4 cards for 1. And you can just slap it onto something. This card's cracked. Like, so this card and the blocker are ones that make me go, okay, maybe we play white, right? But we're not done yet. We've got to talk about some even more insane cards. Let's talk about Gundam Aerials. This is another white card. So this is level 5, costs 3. When there are 4 or more command cards in your trash, it's a 1 cost. So playing a 1 cost 3/3 is pretty strong. And white has other really, really good command cards, so which we'll find. Where is it here? Oh, okay, let's quickly talk about this card. Sorry, I know I'm jumping all over the place. I'm just excited. This is a level 5 1 cost pilot with when paired, if it's a link unit, draw 1, but it's a 1 cost +2/+2. That's pretty good. Obviously, if it's like directly linked, then that's going to be even stronger. But finally, we have come to the best cards. The best cards. So, firstly, blue as the value color. It gets the 3 cost draw 2. Whatever. I don't care. Why? We're playing First Contact, baby. We're playing Ramp. We are playing Ramp, and okay, here's the thing I didn't tell you about. So the reason why I'm convinced green is going to be broken. So in this game, if you go second, you get an EX resource. So this is a resource that starts the game in your zone, and it sits there, and the first time you pay it, it disappears. Until then, it counts towards your level cost, or your level count, which means you're just a level ahead of your opponent, right? And you'll have noticed all of these cards have higher levels than their costs, pretty much. So, like, if I'm level 4, I'm only paying 3, which means I can just maintain the EX resource. That's pretty nuts, right? I just get to play ahead of curve. Like, I think going second is going to be nuts in this game. And in particular with green, right? We have a ramp here. We have burst to gain the EX resource, or just main, right? You just ramp the rested resource. Like, you think about this then going into sort of 5 onto the next turn, and suddenly, like, the stuff that you're going to unlock is going to be crazy. I am very high on green because they get this card. And let's talk about some of the insane stuff that white gets. And I'm going to show you the alt art because, obviously, I want it. Level 2, 1 cost, draw 2, pitch 1. This is so strong. This is probably the best card in Gundam right now, right? Like, so I don't know. Like, obviously, we haven't seen nothing from red. We've seen nothing from the main set. But these are, like, the reasons I'm like, yeah, cool, blue gets all its good value stuff. And in the beta, I think blue's probably very, very strong because I think green's actually probably quite bad in beta because they don't have, like, the most amazing stats. And yes, they have burst, but, like, obviously green is the ramp color, and the highest cost card they have is 6, which, like, okay, so I'm gonna get to it 1 turn earlier, and then I've done nothing, whereas everyone else is gonna be doing all this mid-range stuff. That seems pretty bad. Whereas in the main game, we're probably gonna have like these 7 cost, 8 cost, 9 cost, 10 cost bombs, which are gonna be really strong. In which case, ramping into those is going to be really, really good. And people are probably not going to be just doing their best to, like, floodboard Ooga Booga aggro, because we'll get aggro removal tools and things. Maybe green-white is the way to go, because you get that early game bounce. Just deal with anti-aggro stuff, and then you get the time. Anyway, this card is nuts. This sort of filter is just insanely powerful. The fact you could just, like, go to turn 1, nothing, turn 2, draw 4, pitch 2. I mean, like, it's not plussing, but it's just so much filtering. It's going to put consistency through the roof. Yeah, I really, really want this card. Anyway, the other thing to flag that's I think is really, really cool is they have these really cool alternate arts that are sort of out there. So they have these, apparently in the beta kits, you can get these alternate art, like foil resources. So you can high roll and get those, which I think is pretty cool. I believe this is just the normal EX base. But then they also have, I think they have foil EX resources or something as well available. Yeah, they have this foil EX base, which is really, really cool, like alternate art. And they also have this alt art resources. So obviously Bandai knows what they're doing. So that's just a lot of yapping. That's a lot of yapping. Me talking about why I'm really excited about the Gundam card game. Obviously, it doesn't release for a while. It doesn't release till July. I think it releases like at Star Wars Worlds. So I'll be at Star Wars Worlds, and then I'll come back and I'll do some Gundam content. Unless it's pre-released, then maybe I'll try and go for that. But yeah, I am super, super duper excited for Gundam. I think it's going to be a really fun game. As I said, I'm going to build one deck, and it's going to be green something. It'll either be green red or green white, we'll see. And I'm going to max rarity the fuck out of it. So I hope you guys stick around for that. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I hope to see you in the next one. Cheers.